Okay, going to look at some more distinctive dummies figures. This is part 6, and I'm going to cover all of the figures that were not covered in any of the previous videos. And let's start with Alex the Droog. There he is. In his weird getup. Of course, that's from A Clockwork Orange. It's Malcolm McDowell. And here is his walking stick, cane, murder weapon that he beat everybody with. Beat him to death sometimes. This is from a series called Cinema Crazies. It's got Jack Torrance, of course, from The Shining, John Ryder, Travis Bickle, and Alex. This is number 60 of 60. And these are a little expensive these days. I mean, even more so than the average distinctive dummies figures. And some people take these to conventions and get them signed by Malcolm McDowell and tack another $100 or so on the price. So it can get expensive. Even unsigned, it seems like people want $400 or $500 for that. I'm just glad I bought all these when they first came out, because I don't give those kind of prices for collectibles anymore. And next, we have Jack Torrance. Yes. Crazy Jack Torrance. He's got his axe from The Shining. Here's Johnny. And the axe is a little small, but minor quibble. It's a really great figure. This one is number 37 of 60. Yep. A little Jack. Let's get in close on that, see if this thing will focus. Come on, you know you want to. Crazy Jack Nicholson, come on. Give me a focus. Yeah, well, it's good enough. All right. And we have the Funhouse Freak. I saw this in the theater. I saw all these in the theater, actually. Saw The Shining in the theater. I don't think I saw Clockwork Orange in the theater. That was a little before I was old enough to go to those kind of movies. But I definitely saw The Funhouse. Tobe Hooper's creepy as hell perverted movie about the carnival. And this dude, Funhouse Freak. You can tell this is one of the early ones because it says 1/8 scale, and it's supposed to be 1/9. They had that hiccup on the really early Mego scale figures. Fright Classics is the name of this series. Had Maniac Cop, Pennywise, Funhouse Freak, and Candyman. I don't have any of those other three. I mean, you know, they're okay. Nothing against them. I just didn't buy them. It's number 45 of 50. Good old Funhouse Freak. And here's one from the Werewolf series, Andreas. From Return of the Vampire with Bela Lugosi. And that one is a little bit later because it properly says 1/9 scale collectible figure. And the art on the card, not too crazy about. It's kind of hit and miss. This was a good series. It had Etoile from Legend of the Werewolf, Andreas, of course, and Valdemar Danitsky, Paul Naschy's werewolf character, and Tony Rivers. I already showed Tony Rivers. I Was a Teenage Werewolf. Showed that in my videos on my video on 1950s monsters. This is number 11 of 60. And strangely, this clamshell is turning amber. Now, I had a viewer mention this, and she seemed to think that it would actually damage the figure. I've seen no evidence of that, and I had this happen with another, like a blister pack that the plastic on it turned amber from the 8-inch Sideshow figures. One of them out of the whole bunch. Same here. This is the only figure that this has happened with. You know, I've seen no evidence that it affects the figure in any way. It just, for some reason, the plastic on some of this stuff just reacts differently to the light or to just existing or whatever. You know, but you know, it's amber. At least it doesn't obscure the figure much, and it's okay for me. I don't care. Good old blue-eyed Andreas there. And here we have, now man, I saw this one at the drive-in when it first came out. It's 79, I think. Fulci Zombie. This was actually sold by Paul Bearer Press, but Distinctive Dummies made it. And it's in a cool box. This is the worm-faced zombie, and this is the bloody version. If memory serves correctly, I believe this was a run of 100, and half of them was the bloody version, and half of them was the non-bloody version. And of course, I ordered the bloody version because if any movie was ever bloody, it was Fulci Zombie. We are going to eat you. Yeah, 85 of 100, 2019, Paul Bearer Press. Zombie Flesh Eaters. That is the name that the movie was released under in the UK. In Europe, it was released as Zombie 2 because the original Dawn of the Dead, or at least the Dario Argento cut of it, was originally released as Zombie. So when Fulci made his, they called it Zombie 2. Even though, you know, it's not a sequel or anything. They often did that. Hey man, trying to put butts in seats and sell tickets, you know. Painted by Martin Cage, sculpted by Chris Elizzaro. Box illustration, Craig Holloway. Inside illustration, Pyro Malice. Layout and design by Merritt. Special thanks to Lucio Fulci, Bill Lustig, Greg Chick. Handmade on Matul Island. That was the name of the island in the movie. When the earth spits out the dead, they will return to tear the flesh of the living. I love this movie, man. Like most of you probably, I have several versions of it. I bought the Blu-ray with all the bells and whistles because I like it so much. Yeah, a quick story. I went to see this in the wintertime in 1979 at the drive-in with my cousins. Well, we went to the snack bar. We didn't have much money. We never had much money, but we all got something, and one of my cousins got a hot dog, and the movie was gory, and he couldn't eat that hot dog. So I got a free hot dog out of that deal because he didn't have the stomach for it. So there. All right. Now let's go with these guys in the back here. This is This is Valdemar Daninsky, Paul Naschy's werewolf character from Night of the Werewolf from 1981. And this is a good likeness of the werewolf makeup from that movie. Really good likeness. I wonder if it would help. The camera doesn't want to focus on anything shiny. Bless its little heart, it doesn't want to go out of its way to actually work correctly. Okay, anyway, this is a great figure. Clothing is good. Sculpt, paint, on point. This clamshell got a little beat up in shipping. That was unusual, but they managed to warp it a little. You know, mail carriers are the worst monsters of all. They manage to damage something sometimes that you just can't figure even out how it happened, you know. I mean, I bought a figure that they actually looked like somebody ran a broomstick through the box into the front of the figure and screwed up the packaging on it. Didn't hurt the figure. It said fragile on the box, you know, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, this one, this is a later series of werewolves. Will Randall, Valdemar Daninsky, this one, Robert Bridgestone, and Oliver Hammond. This is 48 of 60. Now this movie is really good. It was directed by Paul Naschy, and it is a remake of the movie that put Naschy on the map and started the Spanish horror boom, La Noche de Walpurgis, also known as Werewolf Shadow, and known in the States as Werewolf versus the Vampire Woman, among other titles, the edited version. But anyway, this came 10 years later after Paul Naschy had begun to direct as well as write the scripts and act in them, and he wanted to redo the original classic from 10 years earlier that was directed by Leon Klimovsky. And they're both great films, and a lot of people are divided on which one is the best. And some people change their minds about which one is best, depending on what mood they're in. I think Night of the Werewolf is great, and I think Paul Naschy did a great job directing it, but I can't help loving the original La Noche de Walpurgis, this one, Werewolf Shadow. There's Valdemar Daninsky from Werewolf Shadow. And this is an overlay card. This artwork, I did this, I drew this. I didn't like the card art. And also, it allowed me to change the title of it from the Werewolf versus the Vampire Woman to Werewolf Shadow, which is my favorite version, the uncut version. So I got to do two things there. I got to redo the artwork, and I got to change the title. It's the same movie. And it's, you know, he's in front of a blood red moon or a sanguine moon or whatever, and black clouds in front of it. There's the vampire woman. Doesn't look much like Patty Shepard at all, just kind of a monstery version of her. Not a bad Naschy likeness. He was always frothing at the mouth, so I went nuts on that. Garish colors. You know, I went the Eerie Publications route with that, minus the blood. But and that is number 48 of 60. Here's a look at part of the artwork on the front, which is the reason I did that overlay. Yeah, that character is in that movie is important enough to me to go to the extra trouble to get it right, because I've got these hanging on the wall in one of my monster rooms, and if I'm going to look at it all the time, I want it to look like something I want to see, you know. So anyway, here is my Blind Dead Templar Knight from Tombs of the Blind Dead, directed by Mondo de Osorio, the first of 4 a series of Blind Dead movies. And you know, it's a great figure. It's even got his little sword there. Robe. Kind of missed the mark on the robe a little bit. It should be a dirty white instead of this. But, you know, this is pretty close. I mean, where else are you going to find a Blind Dead figure? So you take what you can get. Also, the hood, it would have been a lot better if the hood had been a lot taller. Came to a point a lot taller above his head, I think. But, you know, it's still a good figure. And I'm really glad I got it, because these don't turn up often, and when they do, they are pretty expensive. This is number 11 of 50. Art by Ron Gearing. Yeah, I mean, I can deal with this artwork. It's cool. I prefer poster artwork, but, you know, if you're going to commission an artist, commission one that can do good work, you know, like Ron Gearing. I got no problem. Package design by Triple B Designs. Who are these unholy savages who hunt out their victims by sound alone? Classic series of movies. Love the Blind Dead. And there were a couple of unofficial ones, you know, that came out afterwards, like Cross of the Devil, and even Jess Franco got into the act later, but we won't get into that now. Okay, Filipino horror, Beast of Blood, Don Ramon Lopez. Pretty good Beast of Blood. Of course, you know, this monster was in 2 different movies. In the previous one of the Blood Island trilogy, the second of the Blood Island trilogy, they called him the chlorophyll monster or the chlorophyll man, because of chlorophyll poisoning is what gave him this appearance and his regenerative capabilities. And in Beast of Blood, the third one, he's just more commonly known as Beast of Blood. And there's the famous thing where he rips his head off in the poster. Classic image. Unbelievable! I can hear Brother Theodore now doing the trailer for it, man. It lives, it's alive. A monster's head detached from his body. More fantastic than science. More shocking than fantasy. This is number 33 of 50. And some of these aren't in a series, really. They're just like standalone figures. But I'm really glad I grabbed this, because this is another one that when it ever does come up, there just aren't any figures for this character hardly. And I've got one ordered. It's not really an action figure. It's a Mark style figure from the guy on Etsy named Stex. I ordered some of his figures. They're in the vein of the Mark's 6-inch hard plastic. Well, the plastic figures with no articulation that came out in the 60s. And I've got a chlorophyll monster ordered from him. He calls it the chlorophyll mutation, but anything with a copyright, he gave it another name to differentiate it. You know, you do what you got to do, man. So, that covers oh yeah, it does not cover all the distinctive dummies. Hold on just a freaking minute here. Forgot about these guys back here. Okay, now, the distinctive dummies guy made a Boris Karloff set. And this is Morgan from the old Dark House. It's number 23 of 100. Yeah, 100 is a big run on these things. And, you know, for a long time, this set did not sell out. It was available on the Distinctive Dummies website. And I'm sure it aggravated the guy that made these things, because all the others, he was used to them selling out immediately. But for some reason, these didn't sell out, and he finally just took them down. I mean, I don't know if they all sold or he's still got some of them that it hasn't sold yet or whatever. But they're great figures. I don't know why in the world they wouldn't have all sold out. The fickle public, you know. I mean, you just never know what people are going to like or what they're going to support or be interested in. Never know. You might think you're doing the greatest thing in the world and it's going to be a great success, and then it'll flop because you never know what people are going to, be interested in. Here's Edmund Bateman. There's Bateman. It's from The Raven, I think. Yeah, with Lugosi. And there are the other figures in that. Dr. Fu Manchu from The Mask of Fu Manchu. Yamar Polzig from The Black Cat. This is number 9 of 100. All these figures are excellent. And he got the license from Sarah Karloff, the daughter of Boris Karloff that owns the rights to all this. They should have all sold out immediately. I don't know why in the world they didn't. It's one of those crazy mysteries. He probably ended up selling all of them, I would assume. Because now when they come up, they're as desirable as any of the DD figures, $200 or $300 a piece. Here's Dr. Fu Manchu. Now he's got the long fingernails, and in shipping, a couple of those broke, and that was a common problem. So everyone who ordered these could order a replacement set of hands. And I have the replacement hands, but there was so little damage and it doesn't show up much, so I never did pop the replacement hands in. I just kept it the way it is. You really don't notice it much. There is a little bit of breakage though, so I ordered them. They're just in a drawer in there. And there's the back there. This is number 47 of 100. Let me get another shot of that face there. Try to go too fast and don't show the good sculpt and paint work. Anyway, all of these are excellent. They're just really, really nice. And lastly, we have Yamar Polzig, the twisted Satan worshiper from The Black Cat. And there he is in his robe. Too bad it didn't come with a cat figure. That would have been very appropriate. A lot of these distinctive dummies came with an accessory or two, so I guess he couldn't find cats. This one is number 34 of 100. I've got a couple of other Black Cat figures. One of Karloff's character and one of Lugosi's character. They're the 12-inch ones. They're not by Distinctive Dummies. And they're not nearly as good as these DD figures. Not nearly. Okay, now we're going to take a look at a few BrentzDolz figures. Now, I decided to show these in this video because the people that worked on Distinctive Dummies, there's some of them that actually work on BrentzDolz figures, and you can buy these now on eBay. They're around $70 a piece or less sometimes, or a little bit more. Here is the little weirdo from the famous Monster Makeup handbook. And that, I've got the handbook. I've got nearly all that Warren stuff, so I thought that was cool enough to fork over some money for. Dead ringer for the little weirdo. And there's just like the ad. Actually, that's at the cover, I guess. From the cover. 60 cents. Big thick book, like a monster magazine. And we've got the tall man from Phantasm, Angus Scrimm. And he's got his sphere there, the flying sphere that sticks in your head and drills in and shoots blood out like a super soaker. This is a stylized cartoonish figure with a big head, but you know, I mean, I kind of liked it. I thought that it was kind of appropriate because the Phantasm films are kind of comedic in a way, kind of like black comedy. So I thought it was kind of cool. There's a little minion, the little dwarf guy from the other, you know, when they get compacted, that serve the tall man. And, you know, I mean, I like the BrentzDolz. I think overall he does a pretty good job. I think the Distinctive Dummies figures are better, especially the older ones. But for the money, BrentzDolz are fine. I mean, you know, he does some obscure characters that you can't get anywhere else. This is the skeleton warrior from Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, the Harryhausen movie. And he's got his shield there and a sword. Cool figure. Big Harryhausen fan, like most people watching this probably. And there's a cool image from Seventh Voyage. I guess that's a movie, part of the movie poster, I guess. And here is one that's dear to my heart. The zombie mask figure. This is the Vern Langdon zombie mask. That I actually have the reissue of that from 2002 by Kelly Mann. And I did a video that covers Vern Langdon zombie mask collectibles. So you might want to check that out. It's on my channel page, you know. This is number 3 of 9. Pretty cool. And there's the ad. Yeah, this was sold through the Warren magazines. And also, this mask was on the creepy 1972 annual, which is really cool. Anyway, if you like that figure or Vern Langdon or whatever, just check out that video. It's full of Vern Langdon goodness. Here is Blackula in a neat box. Good sculpt. His bite was out of sight. Cool Blackula. Eight-inch action figure. And, you know, I don't think these were numbered or whatever. I don't see it. Some of them are numbered, some of them not, but he didn't make many of any of these. And as far as the Distinctive Dummies figures goes, the Miko scale ones are numbered, but the 12-inch figures, which I did a video on, part 4, those are not numbered, but they are really limited. I mean, he could only do so many, so I'm certain that there probably are less than 100 of any of those things, and maybe less than 50 of some of them. I mean, I don't know exactly what the run was on them, but they're not numbered, but they just ain't many of them around, man. So that covers all of my Distinctive Dummies and my BrentzDolz figures. And hope some of you guys enjoyed that, and hang around and keep checking out this channel because I'm always monstering and showing dinosaur stuff, and you know how it goes. Monster onward.